I'm always excited when I head out in the woods for a camping trip, as you can see in my happy face. But my enthusiasm hits a peak when I leave the pavement and hit the gravel. This is now the back roads of the eastern slope of the Rockies, one of my favorite places to boondock in Alberta. Even my camper is squealing with delight. A little muddy. What do you expect, eh? My first task is to unhitch, then level, pull the back stabilizers down, and push the solar panel up. It's all part of my camping ritual until I get hungry. Now, I know as a vlogger, I'm supposed to come up with very creative dishes every time that I show you I'm out camping. But the sad reality is, I don't eat a lot of fancy stuff. Tonight, it is plain old boring spaghetti with tomato sauce. Canned tomato sauce. The really cheap little ones. This is what I typically eat. I know some people think I'm going to come up with a wonderful recipe. Every once in a while I do try to be creative, but most of the time it's just the boring stuff. But I love it. There's no cell phone service here, as the mountains do their best to protect you from those intrusive radio waves. Ah, that was good. And by the way, it is March. It's getting close to the spring equinox, which is that wonderful time of year where the amount of daylight hours is the same as the amount of night hours. And after a few months of being almost always, it seemed, dark, or at least cold and dark, things are starting to warm up. I can actually sit out. It's about 7 o'clock now. I can sit out in the evening and watch the sun go down. I love this time of year. It's the worst time for camping though. It's just so muddy, and there's still a lot of snow, and there's still a lot of winter left. But it's looking a little better. Well, as you can see, I've set up my pellet stove for one last try this season. I don't really need it. It's actually not that cold. It's about 48 Fahrenheit, about 9 degrees Celsius. That's actually a good sleeping temperature. But as it gets warmer and warmer this season, I'm going to have less and less of a chance to do one last test. So this is the one. Hopefully it'll at least get below freezing tonight. But what I've done after actually reviewing the comments and giving it a little bit more thought, here's the changes I've made. As you can see, Dennis the Hopper is now a lot taller. I've added, I don't know, about that much to it. The theory, and I won't know until I try it, is that I should have enough pellets to last me the entire night. That's what I'm trying for. And also because it smoked last time, what I did is I got some JB Weld. It's high temperature cement, which I put and sealed it up so that there's no way that smoke can come out from it. It's sealed up. It should be the, like what was the weak link should now be a lot better. And I also have a new top to it, the lid. Now before I was just using like a tin can, but this has a perfect seal. And I'd been looking for something like this, and I just wandered around till I found the right thing at Princess Auto, in case anybody wants to know. And what it is, it's a silicone cup. You can heat up water, you can boil water, and it's got its lid, which is perfect. I think I paid, I don't know, it was around $10 or something. But when I put it back like that, it just makes an absolutely perfect seal. So, shouldn't have any problems with the hopper this time. Other things I've changed is I know the fan was getting way too hot, so I brought back this plate that I used when I originally started using this stove. I'd made this metal plate, and what that should do is prevent the fan from getting too hot. I'll measure it later on, but I think it'll cool it down a little bit. And the third improvement I made was a lot of people got nervous because I was using a vinyl hose as an inlet hose. Now it's aluminum. It's actually the hose from my diesel heater. So I've hooked it up here, so if there's any sparks that come out, it's not going to burn a hole. It's covered. I think this is a lot safer, but let's just see if I can get a full night out of one fill. By a full night, I mean a full night's sleep of 8 hours. Well, there's a bit of a moon tonight. Crescent moon. It's nice to not have to fight the crowds. There's no crowds out here. Not right now, but there will be. It's just a matter of time. As the days get warmer, campgrounds fill up, the public lands fill up, and I really hope this year people respect them. This was the perfect opportunity for a time-lapse video. It shows the pellet stove cycling through the pellets over 4 hours. By 8 a.m., the stove was out, but still was warm enough to keep the fan turning.
Blueberry pancakes.
It looked like a beautiful day for a hike, and the distant hill behind the camper had my name on it. It looks like I wasn't the only one using this trail, as animal tracks were assorted and plenty. The higher I climbed, the views became more picturesque. However, there was one foe I would need to contend with. And that foe was wind. I needed to find somewhere away from the blowing dust and dirt, and that tree looked perfect. It's a little windy. I needed to find a sheltered spot for lunch. With belly full and energy up, it was time to keep ascending up the slope. The trail was pretty tame so far, but it got a little steeper as I bushwhacked upward. I thought I was making good progress, but reaching a ridge, discovered there was still another big hill to climb. I wish I could actually climb this fast, but I'm an old guy, so I sped up the camera. It really seemed to take a lot longer to reach the top. Finally, I made it to the peak, and the view was totally worth the effort. If you look real close, you may make out two familiar specks in the lower center of this shot. While the vision of nature has a calming effect, one of the raw and brutal forces of nature is also present. It's just invisible. But the wind always insists on making its presence known. But like the wind, it was time for me to move. It's pretty tough being a tree on these harsh slopes. But at least this wolf lichen appreciates this sentinel's demise. As I descend from the harsher elements, I spot below a more soothing one. But there's more to mountain water than just peace and tranquility. It's also great for cooling your favorite beverage. Oh, it feels so good. A little bit of sun. I think I actually might have got some vitamin D today. But now, I think it's time for vitamin B. And then that B is for brown. Whoa, windy. That's good though. I love it. As the temperature rises, the ice and snow slowly recede. And those lying suspended for months can now peer out of their frozen display case. That moss looks as green as a fresh salad, which makes my stomach growl. Well, here's my almost healthy meal. It is, if you can see that or not, sweet potatoes, boiled and fried, veggie dogs, carrots, and broccoli with a little chili powder and the tomato sauce I had left over from yesterday. Now, does that not look good? It's pretty. Uh-oh. Well, there's one veggie dog I'll never eat. Now, the sad fact when I'm actually prepared enough to show the chopping, dicing, frying, and boiling, make it look all pretty on the plate, almost every time I've done that, the food's actually cold because I'm spending so much time on the photography I never really get to eat it. This time, I just cut right to the chase and on the plate, in my mouth. Oh boy, getting a little nippy. Time to zip up the jacket. Keep warm on a cool night with a crescent moon. I'm glad I made this trip. It was subtle. Nice little hike. Got some exercise. Had a beer. And enjoyed nature. There's no mosquitoes right now. And there's no campers right now. I haven't seen anybody at all. But that will change. As it warms up, people are wanting to get out and camp. It's not all for me, it's for everybody. I know that. And I just hope they appreciate it. I hope they take care of it. Don't cut down the trees in the campsite. Have I said that yet? Well, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. Respect the campsite. Respect nature. Just chill out. Relax. Breathe in that air. Leave it in better condition than you found it in. The next guy's really going to be happy if you do that. Well, in typical Alberta style, it didn't get colder last night, it actually got warmer. And because of that, I didn't need to fire up the pellet stove. I just used my sleeping bag. So it looks like the season of the pellet stove is now over. I don't need it during the spring or the summer because if it's not cold day and night, and for me cold is below freezing, then it's going to go in storage. How did it do? fantastically. The extended column in the hopper, which only needed 1 jug of pellets, kept me warm all night. I started it up at about 10 o'clock and really didn't do much to it. It was very low maintenance. A couple of times I stoked it, but it kept going. The last pellets dropped about 6 o'clock, and by 7 o'clock it had cooled down about 10 degrees in the camper, but it was still comfortable. So yes, I can use this all night and not have to refill, and that was the last goal that I had. So yeah, I'm kind of proud of it, but it's time to pack it up, and I hope you'll see it again in the fall. I know some struggle with the concept of setting up and tearing down each time you need extra heat, but to me it isn't much of a hassle, and it saves up using space permanently. To each his own, I guess. Now I think a few people wanted to know, how much ash do you get for 8 hours of pellet burns? So I'm going to show you. There are fancy ways that I could empty ash, but I haven't got to that point. All I do is open it up and carefully empty it out. Oh, there's where that went. I guess I've been heating it. But that's the amount of ash for 1 night of use. After 3 days in the woods, I needed to revisit the so-called civilized society, at least for a little while. But as I leave, my thoughts and vision keep me looking back, both to reminisce and to anticipate my next return. Now usually when you see me drive away from a campsite, that's the end of the video. However, not this one, because I realized there was something missing. I didn't have any wildlife shots at all, and I know people appreciate wildlife shots. And second part of this is it appears I had a stowaway. So without any further ado, here is the wildlife shot of this video. And he's right there. You see him? That is a tick. And he was on my neck, or she. That can be a serious matter. So I gotta look into this. But I guess you'll have to wait till the next video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my others as well. I always gotta come back for the camera.